Hi, everybody. This is Kathy Ann and Jennifer with Deception Healthcare in America. And today we're going to talk about the misconception of what we've been told by medical professionals about eating 3 meals a day with a couple snacks in between. Is this really the best way of eating, or can this cause us to gain weight and keep our blood sugar elevated?
What our federal government recognizes as a healthy way of eating is just not healthy. It consists of 3 meals, 2 to 3 snacks a day, which never allows your insulin responses to rest. So you're constantly signaling insulin. So insulin is constantly being signaled. So it's got to go and you know, get the sugar out of the bloodstream. It's got to go and do its thing, work with the pancreas and the liver to get food where it needs to go. And by the time it's resting and in a good place, you're eating again. And so, this goes on for a while and you create metabolic dysfunction.
Yeah, so when I had gestational diabetes, I was told to eat 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then two snacks in between. And quite
Mhm.
honestly, I just don't eat that much. But what I thought was really funny, and I think this is hilarious, you guys ever hear of breakfast is the most important meal of the day?
Yeah, you're breaking your fast. And breakfast doesn't have to be in the morning. It's just when you break your fast. That's
Yeah,
all it is.
it's breaking your fast, but do you know where that term came from? It came from Kellogg cereal. The Kellogg cereal
Yep,
company coined the phrase
you're right.
breakfast is the most important meal of the day so they could sell their cereal to you.
Of champions, I think that's what they actually called it.
It's the
I'm
breakfast of
actually serious
champions.
about that part.
So I get made fun of this, but sometimes for breakfast, so breaking your fast. So the first meal of the day, sometimes I'll eat like leftover ribs or leftover steak, and people
Hmm.
will say to me, "You should be eating a donut. You should be eating a Danish. Ribs aren't for breakfast.
Mm.
Why
Or
not?"
oatmeal or
So
bran muffin, something
yeah,
that will create a huge insulin response.
so I always thought that was funny. So throughout my whole life, I would just eat like leftovers for my first meal. So,
Hmm.
and people would make fun of me because it wasn't cereal or like a donut or a muffin. So I thought that was really funny. Breakfast is whatever you eat. You can eat whatever you want for breakfast. It doesn't have to be
Real food, as
pancakes.
long as it's real whole food, as long as your body can recognize it and know what to do with it, as long as it doesn't come out of a package or a box and just gets distributed all over the muscles and tissues and organs in your body and just, becomes poison and toxins and free radicals.
So what we know as breakfast today, it's what you eat right after you wake up. So you wake
Right.
up and then you eat breakfast. First of all, you don't have to do that. That's actually something new. People
Hmm.
didn't do that in the past. It wasn't until industrialization when people worked outside the home. They're like, I need something real quick to eat so
Hmm.
I can work for like 9 hours outside the home. People people a long time ago didn't eat breakfast right after they woke up. So that didn't help happen until industrialization. In Europe, it was like 1600s. In America, it was like in the 1800s. And so that was for people leaving the home to go to work.
Right. And I want to go back and touch on something you said when we first started the podcast when you were gestational diabetic. Whether you're type 2, type 1, gestational, LADA, whatever you are, any type of, if you're showing any signs of metabolic dysfunction, insulin resistance, which that's all gestational diabetes is while you're pregnant, it's in that phase of being pregnant, that phase of your life. They sat you down and told you to eat all day long and create an insulin response in your body when you already have insulin resistance. If that is not the most crazy recommendation for a diabetic to sit them down and tell them to eat all day, basically they have you eating every 2 hours. I know because I was quote unquote gestational diabetic with both of my kids. Come to find out, I really was type 1, but beside the fact, to sit a diabetic person down or what they call pre-diabetic, which there's no such thing. You're insulin resistant at that point. So let's call it what it is. You're insulin resistant, whether you're type 2, type 1, whatever your classification is. You have insulin resistance if you're type 2 or gestational. That's different than type 1, but let's just say you're type 2 or gestational. And they sat you down and told you to eat, and just take insulin. So you already have insulin resistance and you have metabolic dysfunction because they gave you a glucose test and you were intolerant of the glucose. When you're intolerant of glucose, that means you have insulin resistance. That means food needs to be addressed ASAP. That means you can have changes within a week, a few days. So to have a baby growing inside of you and you sit down with insulin resistance, even though it's temporary, and they tell you still just go ahead and keep eating all these things they told you to eat, just take insulin, your body is just operating on the highest level of insulin resistance there is because you have a life growing inside of you and your insulin resistance is being manipulated by your hormones as well because of the baby growing inside of you. So it's even more detrimental that you follow a very I would say restricted diet. So that to me right there just says everything that you know needs to be understood. It's just it is complete insanity that they sat you down and just had you do that, and something inside of you didn't even make sense to you, and is why y'all got into it and you ended up walking out or whatever, getting someone else. But I mean, people go in here and trust these people to sit down and help them with their lifestyle and change up their food so they can get healthy results, so they can reverse insulin resistance, so they can reverse metabolic syndrome and metabolic dysfunction in their body. A type 1 or a gestational person, like help them have the healthiest baby possible in themselves. And then even once you deliver the baby, there's an adjustment there. Hormones are all over the place, and then hormones just bottom out, and you should return back to normal. But yeah, that every time you say that, I mean, my mind is just, I'm telling you, I'm cutting flips, I'm screaming. Yeah. And these come from, once again, like we were talking about, there's different guidelines from different, federal agencies. You've got the federal government that hands down, I believe it's a My Plate. It used to be the food pyramid. They call it My Plate now. It was changed when Obama was in office. His wife had a big hand in that, which it's much better than what we had. But still, they're not focusing on just whole foods and real nutrition. It is better though. It is a lot better. I'm not going to dismiss that. It's just not. It's not 100% beneficial. But it's a lot better. But anyway, so you've got like your American Diabetes Association, American Heart Association. All those have the same type of guidelines. Like for the diabetic, it's like eat 30 to 45 grams per meal of carbs. I mean, you're
Well,
creating an insulin response all day. This is not healthy. It's just not.
I mean, we're like in an obesity epidemic. I think I saw it's about 37% of adults are obese. And it's just like you're eating all day. So, what are we eating? So, you're eating junk. Your
Yeah.
snack, well, I mean, what's your snack? Your snack is like Doritos.
Ultra processed and processed foods. I mean, just to make it simple, processed and ultra processed, which ultra is worse. Processed is bad enough. Ultra is even worse. But and to add on to that, there's 1 in 3 adults have insulin resistance right now. 1 in 3.
So, so that's a
That's a
lot.
third of the population of adults.
So that's crazy. Okay. So we're told to eat 3 meals a day and then two
Yeah.
snacks. But that is something that people never did up until the 1900s. So people
People didn't
didn't
have
eat,
time. People didn't have time to do that.
they didn't.
The kids were busy walking to and from somewhere, not getting a ride from mommy and daddy and auntie and uncle and big cousin and big brother and big sister. Mom and dad were working their tail off, and you were lucky to have one car in the family that everybody shared. I know my dad rode a bicycle and had an engineering degree, but I mean, like, that's how it was back then. You remember my dad had a bicycle and then eventually got someone in the family gave him a truck, his grandpa, when he got sick. But I mean, this is the way it was back then. People were in shape. And yeah.
So yeah, so people often didn't eat breakfast until industrialization, and when they did,
uh,
they didn't eat they didn't eat a donut or they didn't eat cereal. They might have had like a steak or something.
or like porridge and just black coffee, back then. Even if you want to go back, not all the way to cavemen, but then not all the way to like medieval times or something, or back in the Roman times. But you just want to go back even as far as like in the 1900s. Like, I've asked my grandma stuff about what my great grandma ate. And my grandma's still alive. She's 88 and a half, and she's able to tell me a lot of things. I ask a lot of questions about food, and like just if you could just sit and listen to her about food and the way people ate and the way people eat, it is two different worlds.
So I don't eat breakfast, and you don't even have to eat breakfast. I don't know why people keep telling you to eat breakfast. Like if you don't feel like eating, some people like their stomach doesn't feel right in the morning, and that I'm one of those people who I just can't eat anything in the morning. And all my kids don't eat breakfast. We didn't grow up eating breakfast. Maybe we on the weekends, we cook pancakes, bacon, and eggs, and we didn't even eat that till like 11 a.m. But there is really no study showing that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. When I say breakfast, I don't mean breaking your fast at like noon. I mean like getting up and
Right.
eating.
You mean like an early morning meal, right?
Yeah, that you
Well,
eat because you feel that you need to eat breakfast, not because you're breaking your fast, but because you're like, I just woke up, I need to eat a muffin.
right. Well, I know I love to fast. Like I don't need food when I get up. I'm not hungry. You know, a body that's working the way it's supposed to when you get up, you should actually need to go and use the bathroom like number two within an hour of waking. That means that your liver is doing every working properly. You give your body a chance, get up, let it start. If you want to do anything, get up and drink some water, lemon water or plain water. Just give your body some water. That's all you really need for a while. Let your brain wake up. Then I start drinking. I'll do electrolytes because I'm low carb, so I've got to have my electrolytes, or I will have a headache. I will have muscle cramps, headaches, all kind of problems. But um, and then, the only people that I just don't recommend that you just have like that, we were talking about that eating period about a week ago where like some people do, like the, what is it, 16-8, uh, where you're eating 8 hours of the day. Once you wake up, you have 8 hours that you eat in between and maybe like do two meals and spread them out where your body can even rest between before you eat again. And then you go 16 hours not eating. Um, I think my window is even smaller than that. I usually eat between 10 and 6. I have dinner around 6. I eat around 10 a.m. And the only reason I eat at 10 a.m. is because I get up around 7:30 every morning. And as a type 1, my all my hormones are just like my cortisol and all that stuff it just keeps rising until I actually eat and get my body some insulin because it's looking for insulin and it doesn't have it. And so it just keeps pumping out more glucose. And so then once I finally eat, mine will stop. But I try to push it as far as I can. And once again, I say with type 1s, make sure you're talking to your doctor or your educator, whoever's helping you with your food, whoever's genuinely helping you, not just telling you what to do because that's what they want you to do. But someone who's actually working with you on your insulin because if you're, the minute we wake up, you're going to go up like 30, 40 points just from putting your feet on the ground. Before you can even get in the bathroom to use the restroom or anything, you're going to go up. So make sure you're having someone help you guys with that. Nobody helped me with that. I think that went on for years before I knew what was going on. Like my daughter, she's like, "Do you shift up?" She's nauseated. If she eats, it makes her nauseated.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I mean,
for
she can
sure.
wait until she'll eat her first meal around 11 or 12, unless she has an early morning class and she's already hit like 2 or 3 thousand steps. She kind of starts getting like, "Oh man, I think I'm hungry." But that is a. But you guys have a working. We're talking someone with a working metabolic system here. You guys have a working metabolic system. You don't take insulin. You guys don't take a bunch of medications. You don't have insulin resistance. You don't have, you know, a non-working pancreas, which that's two different issues there. And if you guys do have type 2, if you do have insulin resistance, fasting or like eating in a window of like maybe 5 to 6 hours of a day, that is the best thing you can do for yourself. You will fix your metabolic system. You will fix the insulin resistance, especially if you do that. And then when you do eat food that's real whole food. And make sure when you eat carbs, whatever carbs you choose, make sure they have fiber. If your carbs don't come naturally with fiber, don't eat them.
Intermittent fasting has
Mhm.
like blown up in the last couple of years. It's become really popular for losing weight and stuff. So I probably always did intermittent fasting,
Mhm.
just for the way I ate. I've probably done it my whole life. I usually don't eat lunch till 11, and then I eat dinner at 4, and then I'm done. So, and my husband thinks it's really weird that I eat dinner at 4 o'clock, but it's just like we came home from school and my mom had dinner made, and so we didn't have a
Yeah.
snack.
You and
And
I
that's
have the
just
same
how,
schedule. Yeah, you and
yeah.
I grew up together, so that's something we can actually we that resonates with. I mean, we both that applies to us. You know, my mom was the same way. We'd come in, and you weren't allowed to come in the kitchen. That was the other thing. Like, you know how my mom was. She was like, I have your snack. Eat this while I'm almost done with dinner, or you had dinner, and then guess what? You remember my mom used to say the kitchen is closed, and she was not joking.
Yep, and my mom did the same thing. After dinner, kitchen
Yes,
was closed. So it was dinner
right.
right after school, and then you were done.
That's
So,
right. And we'd go play. You would eat and then go
yeah,
play. You would go get
yeah,
you would work that food off, and then we'd come in and go to bed, get your homework done or
yeah.
whatever you need to do, and go to bed and get up. And you and I was gonna say, you and I, we rode to school together. We walked to school together. There was different times we rode the school bus, maybe two or from or both. We didn't eat in the morning.
No. And you know what's funny? We didn't have snack time at school. I never
Nope,
had a class where
nope.
you could bring a snack. And I got in trouble for eating Doritos out of my backpack one time. I think it was middle school.
Yeah, you and I
But
used to carry
but there
nutty
were
bars everywhere too, if you remember that.
those were so good.
Those
Yeah, but
Star
you could not eat
Crunches.
in class.
The Star Crunches. That was our snack, but we weren't supposed to be snacking.
Yeah, you were
Like
not
it's like
allowed to
you had
have a
to
snack at
hide your
school.
snacks, you know? You had to hide them.
Yes. And now at school, they're like, oh, make sure you bring a couple snacks. We're going to have snack time.
Oh
But there was no snack time when we were in school at
yeah,
all.
snack, snack, snack all day. You go into the kindergarten, all the elementary schools, and you go into kindergarten, pre-K, and all that. And I mean, these kids are getting pumped full of juice boxes, and a lot of them aren't even like even the I guess what you'd call a healthy juice. By the way, you know I don't advocate juice at all. Eat your dadgum food. Like that's why that right there is causing metabolic dysfunction in children. Let them eat their fruit.
Right.
Give them an apple. Do not give them apple juice. Don't give them orange juice. Give them an orange. Give them an apple. Give them a pear. Whatever that you think they're drinking, let them chew it. There should be fiber with your carbs. It should be built in, or you should not be eating it. You need to chew your food. Unless you have some medical issue where you have to drink your food, trust me, you don't want a medical issue where you have to drink your food. So, this is just not a normal thing to drink your food either. And we've got people drinking and consuming sugar and calories that is just, oh my God, it's just astronomical. These juice fasts and stuff, chew that. Whatever you're putting in the blender, sit there and chew it and swallow it. I mean, that's not normal to be able to eat a stalk of celery and a whole lemon and a green apple and an orange and five carrots, and you're sitting here chugging this, you know? I mean, come on, guys. I mean, I know it is. It's funny, right? When you really talk about it, but people do they think about what they're doing? Or they just see somebody on the internet tell them to go buy a $300 juicer and shove as much color as they can in there. Anything you want, as long as it tastes good to you, just as long as it's fruit and vegetable, shove it in there and man, guzzle it. Could you sit down and chew everything you just shoved into that little tube? No.
No. And I have a juicer, and but yeah, when you see how much comes out of the juicer, like I used to make muffins out of the stuff that came out of the juicer,
All the
the
fiber.
pulp.
You made
Yeah,
muffins. You made
I would make out of it.
and your colon was screaming, "Why did you leave?" No, I'm kidding. But anyway, yeah, that's not healthy either, and that's why we're not supposed to separate and play with our food. You just don't. You don't separate something. It's like us. You start taking parts out of us, we're not going to work the same. Take the gallbladder,
Yeah.
not going to work the same. Take the spleen out, not going to work the same. All these things have a function. I just, as a nutritionist, I'm sorry, this is very very passionate area for me. And my one thing I ask people is to just try to be conscious of what you're doing, and that's why I have people write things down throughout the day. So at the end of the day, they can look at it. And I have them write down what they ate, and over on the side, I ask them why. I want you to write down. You write 2 words. It's just for you. It's not for me. I want you to write down like why you ate that. Like put, oh, I was starving. Put, I couldn't find anything else. And do this for about a week. And I want you to look at what you're eating, what you're choosing, and I want you to look at the why. And you can really learn a lot about yourself if you're willing to be honest and you're really willing to look at your diet. And then, at that point also look and say, could I have made a better choice? Go make another piece of paper and write the choice you could have made. Like, yeah, it's just ask yourself when you go to eat something. If you wander in that pantry or you go over there to the Chick-fil-A, or you're on your way home from work and you could go home and you have plenty of time to go home and like you have 30 minutes to spend making dinner, which anybody can do. Get you some ground meat, some chicken. Those are super fast. You can add anything with them. Super fast meals. Like ask yourself, why am I eating this? Why am I doing this?
Well, along those lines of fads is intermittent fasting as but that's not really a fad. People have actually been doing that for probably thousands of years
Hmm.
because the Romans, not the Romans, but the
Yeah.
Romans, because my maiden name is Roman. So the Romans used to only eat one meal a day, and they thought it was disgusting if you ate more than that. They just ate one meal a day, and that would be considered intermittent fasting.
Right.
Because they ate one time and then were fasting the rest of the time until their next meal, which was at the same time the next day. But I do intermittent fasting and I don't do it on purpose. I didn't even know that was a name. I just do it naturally. But when I was doing some research, I read an article. It's called Calorie Restriction and Cancer Prevention, Metabolic and Molecular Mechanisms. And this is I guess a medical study. But because I've had cancer, this really resonated with me. And I'm going to read you this. It's actually word for word. Calorie restriction without malnutrition remains the most robust intervention to date for cancer prevention in rodents, monkeys, and in humans. It promotes anti-carcinogenic adaptations such as decreased production of growth factors, inflammatory cytokines, and anabolic hormones, as well as decreased oxidative stress and free radical induced DNA damage. That says that fasting is the most robust intervention to date for cancer because
Yeah.
your
Just
body is
listed why. Yeah, you just listed
yeah.
everything exactly why, which is what I was talking about at the very beginning of the podcast. All these free radicals, people eating processed and ultra processed things in packages and boxes, and your body doesn't know what to do with it. That's what I was talking about earlier. Sometimes it goes over people's head, but like all that stuff has to go somewhere and it's gonna get dumped. You know where it gets dumped? It's dumped in your tissues, which is organs. And that's what you're talking about right now.
Yes. So when you fast, your body goes into this mode where it kind of gets rid of the damaged cells.
Yeah, autophagy long enough. I think it's like 16 hours you hit autophagy. So if you eat at 16, you just started to enter autophagy, which is where the body turns around and starts like eating and taking care of and killing off and whatever word you want to use.
Yes. So what that really means is you shouldn't be constantly feeding your body
No.
because you're feeding the bad cells, you're feeding the cancer
Mm-hmm.
cells, the tumor cells.
Mm-hmm.
So you need some time in your day, in your life, where you're just it's okay to be hungry. I mean, I'm not saying like starve to death, but it's okay to be a little hungry.
Yeah, and if you're a
And
very active
you're
person like you and I are pretty active, like we get our exercise in. Like I know when I haven't eaten enough, I don't feel good. It's almost like, oh my God, like my energy levels really drop. Like I just don't feel good. And then the next day I may make my meal a little bigger, may add more protein to it or whatever. Protein is very,
yeah,
very
but
important as well. But
yeah, don't give yourself a headache, but
mhm,
you don't have to say, "Oh, 2 hours went by, I should go have my snack,"
right.
because you're looking at the clock.
Yeah, because there's no way your body is still actually processing and even digesting what you just ate. Jeez.
So, so this idea of fasting, I mean, it's not new or anything like that, and actually, it's helpful. So I had thyroid cancer, and then I had a breast cancer scare, and as soon as they told me that my image, what there was something wrong with it, you know what I did? I fasted for 24 hours the next day
That's smart.
because I I knew that um, that fasting kills cancer cells. So when I got that scare, the first thing I did was fast. So you don't have to eat all day long. And you can go read this. Go on Google Scholar and you can do your own searches and read the literature. But they say that fasting
Mm-hmm.
helps kill the bad cells. So don't feel bad about not eating every 2 hours or 3 hours. It's okay. And you can always talk to your doctor about it. I'm
Right.
not a doctor. We're not doctors, so make sure that you talk to your doctor about it. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm going with the medical literature that
And
says
all these
fasting
principles,
is
I mean,
okay.
I've taken them applied into myself. I've taken and other people have paid me to teach them to apply it to their life. And we do tailor things, and nothing's ever across the board. We fit it in, um, just depending on different things you have going on, medical issues or just stubbornness or whatever, you know. I mean, I've seen this work in hundreds of people. I mean, it all boils down to just making a choice. And like I said, if you guys will start with that, I mean, I know you guys sit here and listen to this, and it's like within this moment of time, you're like, oh, and you know, you're getting all revved up to try something or do something. Until you hold yourself accountable, get yourself a piece of paper, and I'm telling you, start writing down what you're doing and why. It doesn't take but a few seconds, and keep yourself accountable. You don't need somebody else to hold you accountable. You can hold yourself accountable, and it's going to last, and it's going to work that way. But anybody that's ever had, like me, that's lost a bunch of weight, no matter what the reason, any other person, it was because they sat down and made a decision and they stuck with it. And you have to have your own reason, but you will feel so much better. Um, and you may deter cancer that was brewing up, and you just barely missed it by a hair doing making a decision like this. I mean, the older you get and the worse you eat, trust me, it's gonna pop up. It's gonna rear its ugly head somewhere. You can't go on like this forever. You can't just keep doing what you're doing and looking the other way and say, "Well, I'm fine." Well, you may think you are too. Do you get labs? Do you know anything about what's going on inside your body? I mean, I've seen people that look healthy and have heart attacks. I've seen it. I'm talking about they look great. Like you look at them and think, "Wow, they could be in a magazine." And they've got cancer, or and it's because they're just eating all these protein processed stuff out of packages and drinking it, and they're just murdering their organs. That's not healthy either. So all that eating to grow and be big, like we're not supposed to like
Yeah.
transform like that. Our bodies aren't meant to, our bone structure isn't meant to carry that around. Our heart isn't meant to take in all that food and eat every hour and pump iron so we can get as big as we can. So yeah, just think about what you're doing and ask yourself why you're doing it and what is your goal, and is it going to help you get to your goal. So that would be my recommendation. And just be conscious of what you're eating and why you're eating it.
So I think the takeaway is
No.
you really don't have to be eating all day long. And whenever you eat, make sure that you choose real food, something that does closest to its source. And 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 this eating all day long is pretty new to humans. They didn't always do that. Like I said before, the Romans were eating one meal a day. And so yeah, it was very interesting to see how we used to eat, and we didn't have all this food available. You ate whatever was available.
Yeah, like I said, 1 in 3 adults in the United States has insulin resistance. And if you guys go look that up, it's just your body resistant and it can't even use its own insulin. You're making insulin and you can't even use it properly because you're eating all day, or you're just eating too often. And then it's what you're eating when you eat. So it's a combination, and you can't do one without the other.
All right, guys, we hope you learned a lot from our podcast today, and thank you so much for listening. Bye bye.